Have you ever noticed how your mind behaves perfectly fine all day? But the moment the lights go off, it turns against you. You lie down, close your eyes, and suddenly your brain decides this is the perfect time to replay every conversation. Every mistake, every what if you avoided thinking about earlier. The room is quiet, your phone is face down, your body is tired, yet your thoughts are wide awake. And the more you try to sleep, the louder they get. This isn't random, and it doesn't mean you're weak, broken, or dramatic. It means your brain finally feels safe enough to speak. People who think too much at night usually spend their days surviving, not processing. During the day, your mind is busy performing. You respond to messages, meet expectations, work, socialize, distract yourself. Your nervous system stays in do mode. But at night, when there's no noise left to hide behind, your brain switches into meaning mode. That's when unresolved thoughts rise to the surface. Night overthinking is often the mind asking for attention it didn't receive during the day. Psychologically, this happens because your brain has two major systems. One handles action and problem solving. The other handles emotion and reflection. During daylight hours, action dominates. At night, reflection takes control. And if emotions were ignored, minimized, or postponed all day, they don't disappear. They wait. This is why night thoughts often feel heavier, deeper, and more emotional than daytime thoughts. You're not suddenly more negative at night. You're just more honest. People who overthink at night tend to be highly self-aware, emotionally sensitive, and internally driven. Their minds don't shut off easily because they don't live on autopilot. They question. They reflect. They replay moments, not because they enjoy suffering, but because their brain is trying to understand something unresolved. Many night overthinkers grew up learning to stay quiet about their feelings. Maybe emotions weren't welcomed. Maybe vulnerability wasn't safe. Maybe being strong meant keeping things inside. So the mind adapted. It learned to postpone emotions until no one was watching. Night became the only safe space to feel. Another reason night thinking intensifies is exhaustion. When you're tired, your brain loses its ability to filter thoughts. During the day, your rational mind keeps emotional thoughts in check. At night, that filter weakens. So memories, fears, and worries slip through more easily. Small concerns feel massive. Neutral memories feel painful. Unanswered questions feel urgent. This is why people who think too much at night often feel calm again in the morning and wonder, why did that feel so intense? It wasn't that the problem disappeared. It was that your emotional brain was louder than your logical one. There's also a deep connection between night overthinking and control. People who crave certainty tend to overthink more when the world goes quiet. During the day, structure provides comfort. At night, uncertainty creeps in. The brain starts scanning. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I miss an opportunity? What if this goes wrong? What if I end up alone? These thoughts aren't predictions. They're attempts to regain control. Your mind isn't attacking you. It's protecting you in the only way it knows how. Interestingly, people who think deeply at night often carry responsibilities that aren't visible. They worry about others. They replay interactions to make sure they didn't hurt anyone. They analyze situations to avoid future pain. This mental load doesn't stop just because the day ends. And here's something most people don't realize. Night overthinking is rarely about the present moment. It's about the past trying to be understood or the future trying to be controlled. The present is quiet, and quiet exposes what hasn't been healed yet. If your mind races at night, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your inner world is active, observant, and emotionally alive. The problem isn't that you think too much. The problem is that you don't give your thoughts space when you're awake. In the next part, we'll uncover what night overthinking reveals about your emotional wounds, your attachment style, and the patterns your brain learned to survive, and why ignoring it only makes it louder. Asterisk. When you think too much at night, your thoughts usually follow a pattern. They don't jump randomly. They circle the same themes again and again. Relationships, mistakes, unfinished conversations, future fears. That pattern is important. because it reveals what your emotional system hasn't resolved yet. Night overthinking is often tied to attachment. People with anxious or avoidant attachment styles are far more likely to experience racing thoughts at night. If you grew up feeling emotionally uncertain, love was inconsistent, tension was conditional, or safety depended on your behavior, your brain learned to stay alert. During the day, you stay functional. At night, that alertness turns inward. Your mind starts reviewing everything, searching for threats, signs of rejection, or proof that you're falling behind, not because you enjoy anxiety, but because your nervous system believes preparation equals safety. This is why many night overthinkers replay conversations in extreme detail. Did I say too much? Did they misunderstand me? Should I have stayed quiet? This habit usually comes from a past where being misunderstood had consequences. Your brain learned that words matter sometimes too much. So at night, it rechecks everything, trying to prevent future pain. Another hidden factor is emotional suppression. People who think too much at night are often very controlled during the day. They don't explode. They don't complain much. They handle things alone. But emotions don't disappear just because you're disciplined. They wait. Night becomes the release valve. That's why night thoughts often feel emotionally raw. You might suddenly feel sadness without a clear reason, or guilt without a clear mistake, or fear without an immediate threat. These feelings aren't new. They were just postponed. There's also a strong link between night overthinking and perfectionism. If your self-worth is tied to performance, your brain doesn't fully rest. It keeps evaluating, was today good enough? Am I doing enough with my life? Am I becoming who I'm supposed to be? At night, without distractions, those questions feel louder and heavier. And here's something most people miss. Night overthinking often comes from intelligence and imagination. A brain capable of deep thinking doesn't switch off easily. It connects dots. It imagines outcomes. It builds stories. When left alone in the dark, that ability can turn against you. Your brain isn't broken. It's powerful without direction. People who don't think much at night usually release emotions throughout the day. They talk things out. They express frustration. They allow themselves to feel openly. Night overthinkers do the opposite. They hold it together until they can't anymore, and night becomes the only place it spills out. This is why forcing yourself to stop thinking never works. Your brain isn't disobedient. It's trying to communicate. The thoughts keep coming because they haven't been acknowledged properly. Another important truth. Night overthinking is often a sign of unprocessed identity questions. Am I where I should be? Am I living for myself or for others? What if I choose wrong? These aren't surface-level worries. They're existential, and they surface when everything else goes quiet. If your night thoughts feel philosophical, heavy, or repetitive, it usually means you're at a growth point in life. Your mind is trying to recalibrate who you are and where you're going. The danger isn't thinking too much. The danger is believing every thought you have at night. At night, your emotional brain speaks louder than your rational one. Thoughts feel urgent, true, and absolute. But feelings are not facts, especially when you're exhausted. Understanding this alone reduces their power. In the next part, we'll talk about why some people overthink at night but feel emotionally numb during the day. How this affects sleep, motivation, and relationships, and what your night thoughts are trying to teach you about yourself. People who think too much at night often appear emotionally fine during the day. Calm, functional, even strong. But that contrast is not accidental. It's psychological compensation. During the day, your brain stays in task mode. It prioritizes survival, performance, and control. You answer messages, work, socialize, and distract yourself just enough to keep emotions manageable. But once the lights go off, the brain switches modes. The thinking part quiets down, and the emotional memory system wakes up. This is why many night overthinkers feel emotionally numb during the day. But it's overwhelmed at night. You're not emotionless. You're delayed. Your nervous system learned that feeling too much during the day isn't safe or productive. Maybe you had to stay strong for others. Maybe emotions slowed you down in the past. So your brain stores them and releases them only when there's no pressure to function. Sleep itself becomes a psychological battleground. The brain doesn't want to sleep until it feels safe. For overthinkers, safety doesn't mean locks on the door. It means clarity, resolution, understanding. And because many emotional questions don't have clean answers, the brain keeps running loops. This is why scrolling, binge watching, or background noise feels comforting at night. It's not addiction, it's regulation. Your brain uses stimulation to drown out unresolved thoughts. Silence feels threatening because it invites reflection. Another key factor is control. People who think too much at night often struggle with uncertainty. They want to predict outcomes, avoid mistakes, and prepare for every possibility. Night removes control. You can't fix things at 2 a.m. You can only think about them. That helplessness fuels anxiety. Over time, this pattern affects motivation. You wake up tired, not just physically, but mentally. You've already lived a second life in your head overnight. Decisions feel heavier. Emotions feel muted. And relationships can suffer. Why? Because unspoken night thoughts create emotional distance. You might feel misunderstood, even if no one did anything wrong. You might pull away, not because you don't care, but because your inner world feels too crowded to invite others in. Night overthinking also changes how you relate to the future. Instead of excitement, you feel pressure. Instead of curiosity, you feel fear. Your brain associates thinking ahead with anxiety, so it avoids long-term planning or obsesses over it. Here's the most important insight. Your night thoughts are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to finish something. They want acknowledgement, not solutions. Most people try to fix night overthinking with hacks, breathing techniques, routines, supplements. Those can help. They don't address the root. The root is emotional processing. People who reduce night overthinking don't become less thoughtful. They become more honest with themselves during the day. They name feelings earlier. They stop dismissing discomfort. They create moments of emotional release before night arrives. Writing helps because it externalizes thoughts. Talking helps because it validates them. Movement helps because it discharges stored tension. Even quiet reflection during the day helps because it tells the brain, you don't have to wait until midnight. 8. There's also a mindset shift that matters. Night thoughts are visitors, not commands. You don't need to engage everyone. You can observe without following. The moment you stop arguing with them, they lose intensity. People who master this don't silence their minds. They befriend them. In the next part, we'll go deeper into why night overthinking often hides creativity, emotional depth, and high empathy, and how, when understood correctly, it can become one of your greatest strengths instead of your biggest weakness. Asterisk, people who think too much at night are often misunderstood, even by themselves. They assume something is wrong with them, that they're weak, anxious, or broken. But in reality, night overthinking is rarely a flaw. It's a sign of a mind that feels deeply and remembers everything. These people usually have strong emotional memory. Their brain doesn't just store events, it stores meaning, tone, atmosphere, unsure moments, unspoken words. And when the world finally goes quiet, the mind replays what was never processed fully. That's why reassurance matters so much to them. A single, unresolved conversation can echo for hours, not because they're dramatic, but because their brain seeks emotional closure. And when it doesn't get it, it creates its own loops. This is also why many night overthinkers are highly empathetic. They notice shifts in energy, small changes in behavior. What others ignore, they absorb. During the day they function, at night they digest. The key is not stopping the thoughts, it's changing your relationship with them. Instead of asking, how do I shut my mind off? The better question is, what is my mind asking me to face? Often it's boundaries you've ignored, feelings you postponed, decisions you avoided, truths you sensed but didn't say out loud. When those are addressed slowly, gently, during the day, the night becomes quieter on its own. One powerful shift is learning to separate thinking from identity. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean it defines you. Thoughts are mental events, not instructions. When you observe instead of engage, your nervous system calms. Another important practice is emotional completion. Ask yourself before bed, what did I feel today that I didn't acknowledge? That simple awareness can reduce mental noise more than any distraction. And finally, understand this. People who think deeply at night often carry great potential. They are reflective, insightful, intuitive. Their minds are not restless. They are alive. Once you stop fighting your thoughts and start listening with compassion, something shifts. The night no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes a space for clarity, creativity, and self-understanding. You don't need to silence your mind. You need to understand it. And when you do, sleep doesn't come from exhaustion, it comes from peace.